Welcome back to theCUBE. We are live here at AWS Summit in Washington, DC 2026, bringing you all of the action, talking about this new paradigm for AWS and what this agentic world will look like. Joining me now for a conversation on exactly that, hot off the press with some very exciting news, is Francessca Vasquez, VP of Frontier AI Engineering and Services at AWS. Welcome, Francessca.
Thank you so much, Gemma, and thank you to theCUBE. I'm so excited to be here today.
We are delighted to have you, especially on a day like this, because you are part of an organization that just got some great stage time on the keynote with some big announcements. Maybe let's start there. Talk to me about what you guys announced today and what it means for you and your org.
Yeah, it's such a great question. So today, here at the Washington, DC AWS Summit, we were able to announce that AWS is investing $1 billion in launching our forward deploy engineering business unit. And why that matters is because we have so many enterprises that are seeking our help to help them operationalize AI and get a lot of value and do so with compressed timelines and speed. And so I'm very excited that we're launching here with governments, with private sector organizations. It's going to be a great journey for those customers, and we're thrilled.
If we heard a $1 billion investment in human capital and consultancy 5 years ago, I would have thought that's a lot of PowerPoint spend, right?
Yes.
We know that that is no longer the case.
Yeah.
The challenge that you guys are looking to solve is, it's an evolving challenge, and it's so unique to any technical challenge we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
We're in this space where it's all about speed and impact and outcome, and there has been a lot of obstacles for many organizations to making that happen and to meeting those market pressures for such a long time. Talk to me about what's different about this org. Like, what does this consultancy engagement look like, feel like, run like? Like, bring it to life for us.
Yeah, it's important. So by the way, the $1 billion investment, it's a big investment.
Huge.
That investment feeds people that we currently are bringing together from internal groups within AWS. It is for market development funding, and it's also for our very rich partner ecosystem, where we intend to have a lot of enablement for the partners that will be working with us on FDE. For our customers, we've been thinking about this for a long time, and as you can imagine, when we started building capabilities for companies that were just getting started with AI circa 2017, we ended up creating this machine learning solutions lab, and it was like very foundational to get customers started. 3 years ago, those same customers said, generative AI has hit, and now we need help with use cases and getting those use cases into experimentation and experimentation into production. And so we created a Gen AI Innovation Center. And now we're at this incredible inflection point where agentic systems, or where customers are really trying to embed AI into their workflows to drive business value, and they want forward deployed capability. They want embedded engineers who understand how to build with speed, who are looking to help them get to production in a matter of days and weeks and not months and years. And the most important thing, we don't view this as traditional consulting. We view this as deployment, outcomes, highly compressed timelines, and for customers, we hope that at the end of our very fast 45-day sprints, they can become self-sufficient.
Wow.
And that is, for them, that is upskilling their talent. So we're very excited.
Teach a man to fish model, not to use the Bible reference at a tech show, but the best reference I can come up with.
And have them co-build so that there is active skills translation happening.
So help me understand the profile of some of these customers, right? Because I think we're at an interesting time in tech where suddenly everyone's expected to be a visionary, everyone's expected to be a technologist, one step ahead.
Yes.
We know that there has been challenges in the tech landscape for a long time, challenges around structured data, challenges around knowledge share, knowledge that lives in people's minds, not necessarily documented. You know, all of these problems, they didn't disappear overnight as we began to talk about AI and agentic. Talk me through what a typical customer would be for this and how they're solving, I guess, too, Francessca, for some of those challenges that have kind of haunted industries and segments for as long as they have.
Let me take the first part of the question, which is like the type of people that we at AWS are putting into our forward deploy engineering group. I think the first thing is we are highly indexed on sort of product outcomes and really making sure that we're delivering value fast. And we believe that the how we help these customers change the way in which they're working is through taking traditional methods like software development lifecycle and making that AI native. And so AWS has actually established an AI native development lifecycle capability from how you plan and ship software, how you deploy, how you resolve, all AI natively. So our team of FDEs, they build natively, they also AI natively, they also build with agents, and we do so by leveling up our software development engineers. We, in some cases of our use cases, have applied scientists, and then we put these teams into agile pods and they deploy at the customer as a unit. And so the team is normally 5 to 6 human engineers, plus their AI agents, and that sort of gives them the how. I think for the customers, there's not just one industry that gets value out of FDEs. I think where we see the best patterns are those industries that have very strong leadership conviction. So they've got a C-suite or a board that's very convicted on wanting to achieve, upended outcomes for their business workflows. We see organizations that have prioritized data. Turns out to do AI really, really well, you really have to have a good data foundation. And the industries that have had to deal with data for long periods of time, tend to be industries like financial services, governments, and state and local institutions, healthcare as a discipline, and even media, entertainment, games and sports. They just tend to be data rich, so we find them to be very good candidates for FDE value. And then the last thing that I'll just say is, when you have very good FDE deployment, and we focused on the last mile, truly getting to production, it doesn't mean that you don't have to pay attention to the things that customers need the most. And those things are like, how do they think about their operating model in the age of AI? What does security look like in the age of agentic systems? What about governance? And so all of those things still matter. The FDE's benefit is that they're building in the customer's environment with the customer's constraints. And so it's really about meeting our customers where they are, and not like just building in a lab or isolated and then handing over some package to a customer. We really get involved in making sure that we are embedded in their workflows.
And what do the existing environments look like when we talk about embedding those workflows? Are we talking Bedrock, Agentforce, Amazon Q? What sorts of prereqs or what parts of the stack typically tend to be in place already to optimize for agentic?
Well, the customer patterns that we've seen are pretty much our customers that are building on Bedrock, and we have a huge advantage in that we're model agnostic. We meet customers where they are, so sometimes they like to deploy first-party model with AWS on Bedrock. Sometimes we work with our frontier AI lab partners like OpenAI and Anthropic building on Bedrock. That works equally too. Some customers may be at a point where they want to start with Agent Core, or they're starting to do spec-driven development with Kiro. Doesn't matter. We've built a lot of different extensions for the FDE organization to be able to leverage when they're building with customers, which makes the choice for customers much more valuable because they feel like they're not locked in, they have options, and then we can build to any of the workflows. In healthcare, it could be completely related to claims processing and financial services. It could be like a fraud loss prevention workflow. That's all unique to the customer and their industry.
I think that's very important when we think about vendor lock-in as a challenge for the last 3 decades of tech, right?
Yes.
Whatever paradigm comes next has to have a level of agility.
Yes.
Or who knows what sorts of challenges people could face. I'm interested in this skill set of this team because when we think about an AI engineer, somebody told me recently it's like claiming you're a theologist, right? But what are you actually an expert on? What religion speaks to you? And it is an interesting time. I'm sure it's a very varied skill set, but are these data folks? Are they machine learning experts? What's the typical profile even you're hiring for?
They are so multifaceted, but we feel very fortunate because AWS has created a host of builders who have very deep curiosity. They have very deep problem solving. There's a mix of both technical and soft and problem solving skills that are very necessary for an FDE type role. I think every customer is different, so sometimes in our 5 to 6 person pod, we will be very good at being able to ship fast capability, and sometimes we'll couple that with the customer who wants very deep industry, like people that have shipped and deployed capabilities within, say, financial services as an example. So I think the most important things are, you want FDEs that are deeply curious. A lot of the problem solving is not determined, it's not defined before you go work with the customer. Sometimes you are truly discovering and deploying all in one sprint with this customer. And so that curiosity, the ability to be creative, to problem solve, and we want people building AI natively, so you have to be willing to actually reimagine how you deploy with an AI first, with an agentic first mindset. And we provide tools for that, but it's FDE gets the customers changing their ways of working during the deployment. And so they learn very fast.
So what does a typical engagement look like? You mentioned like almost a microcosm of an agentic workflow, people with different skill sets working inside a customer or on a customer site.
Right.
But clearly side by side with a lot of folks, because a lot of this needs context to run, right?
Yes.
What, and you mentioned, I think, 30 days or 45 days.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
impressive
framework that we came up with.
We're all used to the world of consultancy where somebody presents you a PowerPoint or a deck in 45 days and with some great ideas, right? But to promise outcome, it's impressive, it's ambitious. What does it look like?
Yeah, so we found that in working with customers, they had this experience with sort of traditional consulting thinking where they often thought that their outcomes and transformations could only happen in extended years, you know? And I don't think any organization today can afford to drive value in years. Things are moving so fast, the pace of innovation, they need it fast. And so we came up with this very simple construct to say, speed is the new currency for a lot of customers. How can we get customers thinking in faster sprints? And so my team, they came up with this model of, we'd really like to get ideas out on the table in 45 minutes with the customer. After that, can we get to like validation of what we can actually go drive in a proof point in 45 hours? And then after that 45 hours with the customer, how do we then go develop and decide we're going to ship something in production and value in 45 days? And what that does is, it's very ambitious for most customers. If we do it faster than 45 days, great, we all get a gold star. But it really gets them thinking about what they can actually deploy and implement in a possibility stating. Instead of thinking that they can't derive any value in over like a longer period of time. And so for us, we like pushing on that sprint. And then for them, again, a great outcome for us is if the customer is also becoming self-sufficient in the process, which is one of our stated goals. So compressed timelines, them getting self-sufficient, live in 45.
Wow, I love it. That's a great marketing tag.
Yeah.
Live in
New
45.
deployment, live in 45.
I mean, it's catchy. It'll make a great jingle.
Yeah.
So, great news today, exciting news. Pressure's on now, right, to bring this to life. Like you come off that stage and you think, okay, a year from now, what are we going to be talking about?
Yeah.
What does that look like? I mean, what are the priorities now? Are you scaling? Are you hiring? What does the next 6 months look like for you, Francessca?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think one, we have now curated all of the various teams within AWS that were contributing to some element of FDE. So now they're in one single business unit that will allow for common context, repeatability, and reuse patterns that allow us to go very fast. The second is we have a common methodology. We use the same AI DLC development for our internal building of AWS service. Now we're bringing that to customers. And so customers are getting the best of our ability to do frontier AI engineering directly with them. I think third, you mentioned this earlier, context matters. And so many of these organizations they will have so much more new context, semantic layers, knowledge graph. Pick your taxonomy, ontologies. We want to put all of that great IP engineering that customers will get in their hands. And so we're very excited to accelerate their ability to leverage the power of AI through data to have a ton of context composability in the engagements that we'll support. And then the last thing that I would just say is, now that the team has been sort of formalized, we expect to see the demand. We want to get as many customers in the funnel to support them as fast as we can, so that in the next year, Gemma, when we're back at the DC Summit of 2027, all of the customers that you'll get a chance to hear from will tell you that they now actively are operating like frontier AI companies. They've seen value now in 45-day sprints versus 18 months or 24-month projects. They have upskilled their talent in the process. They have an ecosystem of AWS trusted advisors and partners that they've used to help them get there. And then lastly, we've delivered on the outcome that we all mutually said we would do on their workflow.
I certainly look forward
success.
to And I listen, I'm backing your bet all the way.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing from some of those customers. And you touched on some important things there. Hiring brilliantly minded people, keeping humans in the loop and all of this, and then teaching someone to fish, right? That is true partnership. So Francessca, Vasquez, thank you so much for joining us on theCUBE.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you.
I'm Gemma Allen. We are live on theCUBE at the AWS Summit in Washington, DC 2026. It's an exciting week here in DC, and we have some fantastic conversations coming up in the show. Don't go away.